Over. Hi friends, clean slate, begin again as often as necessary. Welcome to class. We're here for 45 minutes of slow flow, intentional movement with breath. I've got props, 2 blocks and a blanket ready. You may have something similar or way different. And as we move through this time together, I invite you to take exactly what it is you need. Whether it's a different variation from what I offer, whether it's ignoring me completely, opting out of a shape or two, you are totally in charge. So we will start off lying on our backs. And this can look like however you need it to. Perhaps arms and legs come wide like a starfish. Or maybe it feels slightly better to bend your knees a little, letting them fall inward or maybe even outward from one another. And as you settle in, you can just allow yourself to look around, just getting a good sense of your surroundings, and maybe you even kind of wiggle your heart and shoulders as you settle down towards the ground. Coming into this place of ease, start to turn your gaze inward. And scan your body from head to toe. Becoming aware of the places you feel really good right now. And also notice the spaces where you maybe feel tight or tense or other. And taking notice of all the spaces in between these opposites. Noticing the particular way that you're feeling here and now. And then take your gaze a step inward and notice your breathing. And in this moment, there's nothing that we need to change or fix about our breath. It simply is what it is, which is nourishing us with or without our micromanaging. But maybe it's the first time that you've been able to stop and check in with your breath today. Maybe not. But either way, tune into this inhale and exhale. Take a little peek inside your mind. Notice whatever thoughts are rolling or scrolling past. If there's anything that feels really important that you would like to remember later, you can visually or imagine that you're taking this important thought or thing and wrapping it tight in a little balloon. Attaching one end of a string to the balloon and the other to your hand. Then slowly start to loosen your grip, allowing this balloon, this thought, this thing to float out of your mind. Maybe even up to the ceiling. Maybe even out of the room. Keeping it safe and protected, so if we need to pick anything back up once we're done, it's there for us. And then come right back to your breath, just like that. Letting your thoughts be what they are, you choose a big full inhale, followed by a big full exhale. Allowing yourself to fall into a rhythm, a pattern of breathing. And it's not something we're forcing on ourselves, instead it's something we're allowing to happen. Establishing a rhythm, a pattern that works for you here and now. And then seeing if you can listen in for the sound of your breath. Good. Now, if all you're able to do is simply listen to your breathing, we'll count it as a success this evening. And maybe you're able to take a few shapes as well. Bonus. However, bend your knees and slide your feet flat to the floor. Toes down, knees up. And drop your hands down to the ground, palms down. Taking a little light drumming of your fingertips and toe tips, feeling the solid earth beneath you. Let's take a little movement with breath. Inhale, stretch your fingers up towards the ceiling. Continue to reach and stretch until you touch the floor behind you. And then exhale, sweep your fingers back up towards the sky and drop them right back down to the ground. Do that again. Inhale, reach your fingers, perhaps stretching a little further. Exhale, sweep up, lower down. One more just this way. Inhale. Exhale. Nice. Now plant hands and toes to the floor and then lift your hips just to hover. So it's not really a bridge pose or a heart opener, just a little lifting of the hips. Walk your feet a little wider, sway your hips side to side. Your knees can move with you. Just get a little movement and you can kind of get a little sassy with it. Hike your hip up a little to the side, but try to keep your hands down. Nice, now back to center. Dropping hips to floor. Good, once more, press into your toes and fingers and think lift in your pubic bone as you pull it a little closer to your chin, rolling your low back off the mat. Good, now take the opposite of this. So roll your hips back down and take a little banana arc in your spine as you send your sitting bones more towards the floor. And do this again. Inhale, rotate and tuck, lifting your pubic bone up. Exhale, roll it back down, arching through your mid-back. And take that a few more rounds, loosening up some of these muscles between our upper and lower torsos. One more round. Lift and lower. Coming to center. Draw both knees into your chest. Give them a little squeeze. And let's rock from side to side, feeling the backs of your ribs, side ribs touching the floor. Let's start to rock forward and back, slowly gaining momentum, but just take time to notice where you're touching the floor. And then rock all the way up into a seat. Now you're welcome to slide something under your hips to get a little different tilt in your pelvis, a little more grounding in your hips. You can also slide little blocks or bolsters or pillows under your knees. Good, and dropping hands to the thighs takes a little circles. They can be big circles, medium circles. Notice where you feel stuck, where you get a little sticky, where you feel flowy. Good, and come back to center. Take a breath in, breath out. And switch directions. Take your circles the opposite way. Noticing where there's ease and fluidity, where there's a little more sludge or sticky. And settling back to center. Breathe in and out. Switch the cross in your legs, bring in your opposite shin on top. You can give your hips a little wiggle and jiggle, settling back in. Good, now stretch your arms wide to the side. Good, now flex your palms like you could push the side walls away. Go ahead and take the opposite, drop them down. Just do that a few more times. Flex and release. You can bend your elbows a little or a lot here. Good, one more. Good, now bring your hands front and center. We're not quite done with them yet. Let's make some little starbursts. So, sound effects help. They can be super fast starbursts, or they can slow them down. Just keep going. Getting a little activation in the hands. I promise we'll soften them in a moment. And final burnout, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your hands fall down like rain onto your knees. Just letting that settle out. Nice, now crawl yourself forward, planting your hands flat to the floor, tabletop. You can slide your blanket under your knees or move it under your palms. And then from here, just take a little gentle movement. And maybe it's some cat and cows, dropping your belly, rounding through your spine. Or maybe you're a little more curious and playful, a little wagging of the tail. Jump roping of your upper heart. A few more rounds of breath. Use them to create a little balance and symmetry. Nice, now come back to center, but turn your hands out wide to the side. Fingers point to the wide edge of your mat. Take a little gentle rocking from side to side. And let your sensations in your wrist be your guide. One says, yes please, one says, whoa, that's enough. Nothing more, nothing less. And come back to center and complete the wrist rotation. Turning your fingers all the way towards you, palms down. Then you can play with shifting your hips back towards your heels, getting to stretch through the bottom side of the wrist. Again, listening into your body, not pushing too far, right? We're into tendons and ligaments, which don't need to stretch as much. Good, back to center. Return your fingers straight ahead. Just one more. Good, now take your right hand and flip it down, bringing the top of your hand down to the ground. You be kind and gentle, not putting too much weight if this is super sensational. Then you can play with bringing your right hand into a little gentle fist, noticing how that changes. Good, and then release it back down. Do a little sparkle fingers, right hand to the floor. Good, then shift weight over to the right hand, and then flip left wrist over. Top of your hand down. You're gonna try to keep a little softness in your shoulder and elbows here. One more breath. Nice, release this down. A little wiggle of your left hand, palm to the floor. Nice, now crawl your hands a little more forward so we get a little less direct pressure in our wrists. But now breathe in, stay here. Breathe out, child's pose. Melt hips to heels as you slide your heart to the floor. And take that twice more. Inhale, table. Strong hands draw us forward. Exhale, child's balasana. Slow it down, melt on back. One more just this way. Inhale, table. Exhale, child. Settle here for a few breaths, and maybe a little rocking of your hips and heart is necessary. Try breathing into the backs of your ribs, creating a little more space behind your heart. One more breath. Nice, now activate your hands once more. Come forward, table. Nice, so tuck your toes, and on an exhale, downward facing dog. Stretch and lift your hips. And let's do that two more. Inhale, drop down to table. Touch your knees, stretch through your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog. Push the floor away. One more just this way. Inhale, table, drop on down. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good, now options. You can stay in down dog and take it on a little walk, exploring one shape than the other. Or maybe down dog feels like way too much effort because it's been one of those days, weeks, months, years. And you can come right back to table. Spending the next few breaths in curious observation in whichever shape you've chosen. And we'll meet back in tabletop today, but let's keep our toes tucked. All right, now walk your hands back, almost like you could sit on your heels, but then press into the toes in your hands and flatten your heels to the ground. Good, now from here, slowly roll up to standing towards the back of your mat. Strong feet, tall heart. And give yourself a little shimmy and shake, happy to be alive dance. And then hands can come to heart and belly, or maybe just belly. And then we breathe. Now that we're standing, is it still possible to bring your breath deep, deep into your belly? Resourcing yourself from your center. Nice, next breath in, stretch both arms up to the sky, option to look up. Exhale, fold forward once more. Keep the knees soft as you melt your belly to your thighs. Good, now walk your hands back forward, dropping down to your knees, tabletop. Untuck your toes, child's pose, melt on back. Breathe in. Send it out. Good, one more. Nice, now look to your fingers once more. Draw yourself forward. And then slide your hands a little bit more forward so you can lean even more, stacking shoulders over wrists. So this is more like a version of high plank, but our knees are gonna stay down the entire time. We have more of a diagonal line from hip to knee versus straight up and down like all fours. Good, so breathe in, stay here. Breathe out, child's pose. Keep your hands slightly more forward, and a little extra shoulder stretch. Good, now inhale, come back forward. Keep the knees down, shoulders over wrists. Good, now lower your whole heart to the floor. Send your elbows back towards your toes, dropping heart down. Nice, now slide your elbows more forward, coming into Sphinx pose. Diagonal line from shoulder to elbow, giving yourself a little more space for your chest. Nice, now slide your feet a little wider apart, giving your low back more room. Now feel that you could press strongly into your fingers, like you could pull the floor to you, but it's not gonna move. And then instead, lengthen across your torso and ribs. Nice, now drop your chin down towards your chest, growing long through the back of your neck. And then roll it over towards your left shoulder, lengthening through the right side of your neck. Nice, drop it back towards center and over to the right. Good, do that again, little half circles, dropping down and to the left. And dropping down and to the right. Center. One more breath in. Breath out. Lower your heart and slide your hands back under your shoulders. Direct your elbows towards your toes. Then tuck your toes into the floor. Good, now think elbows towards ribs. Breathe in, breathe out, then push the floor away back into this high plank, knees stay down. And lower on back, child's. Good, let's do that again, just a tiny bit faster. So coming on forward into this high plank, knees stay down. And then exhale, lowering all the way down to the ground, elbows towards toes. Inhale, little roll up, cobra. Exhale, rolling it back down, elbows towards toes. Nice, when ready, push the floor away, high plank, knees stay down. And then melt on back, child's. Good, do that again. Coming forward, high plank, knees stay down. Lowering on down to the floor, sending elbows towards the back of your mat. Little cobra stretch through the heart. Drop on down. Push the floor away. Child's. Linger here for a breath or two. Try touching your palms over your head, rotating your shoulders out. And you can keep rotating and turn palms up or keeping your thumbs towards the sky. Breathe big into your belly. Nice. Tabletop. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, stretch and lift through your hips. Gonna look forward to your fingers and then bring your feet to your wrists. These can be little baby steps, bigger steps. Walk your feet to the outside edges of your mat, toes down. And take a fold forward. Hands can stay to the floor, slide to blocks. Or maybe you grab opposite elbows like a rag doll. And take a quick scan of your body, noticing where you're holding on, clenching, where you're feeling tight. And then send your breath to air and see if it's possible to soften. To effort, just 1% less. One more breath. Good. Press through your feet, release any binds. Slowly bringing yourself back up to a standing shape. A little movement in your hips and heart. And shuffling your feet a little closer together, stand up tall. Deep belly breaths. Two more rounds. Eyes can remain open or peering down, down, down into your belly. One more. Nice. Next breath in. Stretch both arms up towards the sky. Good. And then lower on down like a waterfall of honey. Melt belly to your thighs. Breathe in. Take a halfway lift. And as you exhale, send your right foot all the way back down to the mat, dropping down to a low lunge. The blocks bring the floor closer to you. Just take a little gentle rocking or pulsing of your hips forward and back. Maybe it becomes more like low lunge splits prep. Take a little pause in your splits prep, stacking hands under shoulders. Breathe in, one more round. Breathe out. Good, then glide back forward, low lunge. Press your hands into your left thigh as you peel your heart and belly up towards the ceiling. And give your right hand a little wave, releasing it from your knee. Let's move the right hand around to the right side of the back. Heel of the hand. Gently guide your right pointy hip bone forward. Continue to sink your right thigh down towards the ground. And then notice if your shoulders have scrunched up. And instead relax and soften them, letting the tension roll down. One more breath in. Nice. Hands to the floor. And tuck your back toes. Stretch and lift your back knee off the mat. More like a runner's lunge. Breathe in. Breathe out. And step forward, wide as you need to. Right foot to the top. Relaxing belly to thighs, head to floor. Inhale and exhale. Good. Next inhale, take a halfway lift. And exhale, send your left foot to the back of the mat, coming on down to your left knee. Low lunge, this time on the right side. Just take a little movement when ready. Low lunge splits prep. Permission to notice how the side's different. Pause in your splits prep, stacking hands under shoulders. Breathing here. So come on forward, low lunge. Press both hands into your right thigh, lifting heart and head towards the sky. This time left hand releases, takes a little wave, and swings around to the back. Little assist for yourself. Gently press your left pointy hip bone forward. Relax your shoulders down your back. And next breath in, sweep both fingers up towards the sky. Breath out, drop hands to the floor. And this time, step your right foot back. Swing your step right foot to meet your left. Let's start by taking big circles with our hips to the right. And these big circles can be little or medium. And then switch directions, taking them to your left. And we'll end up lying on our backs. So take the next 3 to 5 breaths in any other shapes that you need. Maybe another down dog or a child's. Maybe you want to lay on your belly for a moment. Following our own wisdom, we'll end up lying on our backs once more. You can totally take up space in the way that makes the most sense. Arms and legs wide, knees bent in or out. Scan your body from head to heel and just notice where you're touching the floor. Feeling established in yourself, settle in, soften in. Draw right knee in towards your chest, give it a squeeze. You can take a little rolling in your right foot or ankle. Dropping knee or elbows heavy to the floor. Good, now stretch the right leg up towards the sky, gently clasp the hands behind it, and just take a couple lengthenings and bendings of the right foot. Figure four, cross right ankle over left thigh. Option to keep left foot down or lift it, threading hands inside or maybe even outside your left leg. Soften through your head and shoulders. Breathe. Your right foot where it is. Release your left foot flat to the floor. Extend your arms out wide like a T, palms down. Dynamic twists. Inhale, stay here. Exhale, drop both knees over to your right as you look over to your left. Inhale, lift knees towards center. Exhale, twist opposite, feet left. Look right. Again, inhale, center. Exhale, knees right. Center. Left. Good, center. Right. Center. Pause, and this twist to the left. You can use your left hand to secure your right foot down, or maybe it slides up to your right knee. Keep opening up right arm to the right as you look over your right shoulder. Breathe here. Untwist. Then take up space, stretching wide like a star. Point and flex through your toes and fingers. And then curl everything into a ball and use a little action here, pulling nose towards knees, lifting shoulders off the mat. And release. Keep your left leg, extend or bend your right. Drop elbows heavy to the floor as you hug your left knee in a little closer towards your heart. Straighten your legs, left leg up towards the ceiling, taking just a few moments of bending and straightening. One more extension of the left leg and cross it over, figure four. Choose to keep your right foot grounded or lift it, threading hands inside or outside. Breathe here. Prepare to twist. Place your right foot to the floor, stretch arms wide to the side, left foot remains. Big inhale, stay here. Exhale, drop knees to your left as you look to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist in the opposite directions, feet right, eyes left. 2 more rounds, inhale. One more round. Holding in this final twist. Dropping left foot more towards the right. Right hands can assist left foot or knee. Open up left arm to the left as you look to the side. Breathe. Untwist. Take up space, stretching the length of your mat. Good. Now everyone bend your knees, feet flat to the floor. Little softness in your hips. Walk your feet as wide as your mat as you drop your knees towards center. You can choose to keep your arms by your side, or maybe you stretch them out wide and then give yourself a big bear hug, crossing one arm over, other arm under. Breathe heavy into the backs of your ribs, creating a little space between your shoulders for your heart. If you took the cross in your arms, go ahead and switch them. Opposite arm on top. Release your arms. Flatten your feet to the floor as you send your kneecaps back up towards the sky. And now plant your palms to the ground once more next to hips. And as you breathe in, lift your hips off the ground. And it's just a little easy bridge pose. And then exhale, roll them back down. Notice where your hips are wobbling. Go ahead and do that again, correcting the wobble by pressing more firmly through your feet and heels. And lowering back down. A few more rounds, keeping the strength in your feet, trying to lessen the wobble of the hips. One more lift. and lower. Breathe in. Breathe out. Nice. Now keep left foot where it is and stretch right foot straight up towards the sky. Press fingers into the floor and then flex your right foot like you could flatten it into the ceiling. All right, now press into your left foot and your hands and then lift right foot towards the sky. Good, and then drop back down. And do this a few more rounds, keeping the right foot flexed, working through the left foot, left glute. Again, noticing the wobbles, the instability, and then just seeing if it's possible to ground a little more through your foot. One more round. Lift. And lower. Well, now straightening right leg all the way the length of your mat. Then drop your left knee to the side. And maybe you do that a few times with the left knee lifting and lowering like a little butterfly wing. Or maybe you feel content to let the knees stay wide like a supine tree pose. One more. And then release left leg to meet your right. And taking any other movements that feel fine. Once more, bending your knees, feet flat to the floor. Palms down. This time, stretching and lifting your left leg up towards the sky. Flipping your foot like you could flatten it into the ceiling. Good, now strong right foot, strong palms, lift and lower. And taking this a few more rounds, just gathering information, noticing the wobbles. And seeing if it's possible to get a little more control over this rather challenging movement. One more lift. And lower left foot the length of your mat. Open right foot to the side. Opening and closing right knee. And send it long. Give yourself a big, beautiful breath in. And an even bigger, more beautiful breath out. Now scan your body from head to heel. And then you decide what else do you need. And taking this next minute or so to listen and to take these shapes, these movements that are calling to you. And we're all moving towards a shape of final rest. Know that you can totally take this rest on your side, on your back, on your belly. And we did a little bit of work there at the end of the hips. So if they need a little extra support, maybe you slide a blanket or bolster or blocks under your knees. Just redistributing your weight. And then give yourself one more opportunity to breathe big. Inhale. Sipping in more, holding it in, big long exhale out. Shavasana, sweet, sweet rest. Breathe in. Breathe out. And drop back into the physical self, your physical self. Noticing the heaviness of your bones, the outer edges of your skin. Breathing a little bigger. Inviting small movements into your fingertips, toe tips, wrists and ankles, arms and legs. And in your own way and time, waking up, sitting up if you choose. Just taking notice of how you feel in your body, breath, and mind. Take a moment to draw hands to heart center. Consider lifting your heart just a little higher. Take a breath in. Send it out. Option for Om. Breathe in. Draw the sound with your thumbs to the space between your eyebrows. Drop chin towards chest, sealing in this time together with reverence and gratitude. Soaking it all in first for ourselves, also for each other. And finally to our long lineage of teachers, spanning back thousands and thousands of years to the subcontinent of India that have made these practices available for us today. So thank you all again for showing up and flowing with me on this fine day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your plans for this evening, picking up any thoughts or to-dos, or releasing that balloon completely. Who cares? Thank you and good night.